And we are live. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Benchley Night. Welcome to Benchley Night on a fine late autumnal Sunday evening. Betty Sue is here at the house. She just single-handedly scooped out an entire squash. It is in the oven. It's going to be delicious, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be delicious. The time of Thanksgiving is upon us, and even as we hurtle into fascism, we can still think of things to be grateful for. There's Betty Sue right there. Brief appearance from Betty Sue. It's like seeing one of the cats. But one thing before we got going tonight, and you now know the unidentified ungulate makes his appearance, or their, his, her, it's their appearance at the end. We now do that at the end of the reading. But I wanted to mention that Holidays here in town, holidays.com, they're doing a little promotion for our diner project. If you go to holidays.com and look for the diner box, they donate $10 from every sale to Rockingham for Progress and our project on the diner. So if you are looking for the perfect holiday gift for that hard to please someone, go to holidays.com, tonight's sponsor, holidays.com, and get the diner box. It's like all kinds of good spices for like chowders and meatloafs and diner food. Anyway, thank you, Holidays, and thank you all for watching. Let's see. Gwendolyn Pontius is here. Hello, Gwendolyn. And I trust Martha Rowley is here. I hope some of our usual friends are here. But anyway, in any case, tonight's reading by the great Robert Benchley, also from Chips Off the Old Benchley, from which we had our reading last week. Tonight's reading, Your Boy and His Dog. People are constantly writing into this department and asking, what kind of dog shall I give my boy? Or sometimes, what kind of boy shall I give my dog? And although we are always somewhat surprised to get a query like this, ours really being the jam and fern question box, we usually give the same answer to both forms of inquiry. Are you quite sure you want to do either? This confuses them, and we are able to snatch a few more minutes for our regular work. But the question of boy and dog is one which will not be downed. There is no doubt that every healthy, normal boy, if there is such a thing in these days of child study, should own a dog at some point in his life, preferably between the ages of 45 and 50. Give a dog to a boy who is much younger, and his parents will find themselves obliged to pack up and go to the sailor's snug harbor to live until the dog runs away, which it will do as soon as the first pretty face comes along. But a dog teaches a boy fidelity, perseverance, and to turn around 3 times before lying down. Very important traits in times like these. In fact, just as soon as a dog comes along who, in addition to these qualities, also knows when to buy and sell stocks, he can be moved right up to the boy's bedroom and the boy can sleep out in the doghouse. In buying a dog for a very small child, attention must be paid to 1 or 2 essential points. In the first place, the dog must be one which will come apart easily, or of such a breed that the sizing will get pasty and I'm going to read that again. In the first place, the dog must be one which will come apart easily, or of such a breed that the sizing will get pasty and all gummed up when wet. Dachshunds are ideal dogs for small children, as they are already stretched and pulled to such a length that the child cannot do much harm one way or the other. The dachshund being so long also makes it difficult for a very small child to go through with the favorite juvenile maneuver of lifting the dog's hind legs up in the air and wheeling it along like a barrow, cooing, "Giddy-up!" Any small child attempting to lift a dachshund's hind legs up very high is going to find himself flat on his back. For the very small child who likes to pick animals up around the middle and carry them over to the fireplace mantel, Mastiffs, St. Bernards, or Russian wolfhounds are not indicated. That is, not if the child is of any value whatsoever. It's not that the larger dogs resent being carried around the middle and dropped in the fireplace. In fact, the smaller the dog, the more touchy it is in matters of dignity. This is so often the case with both people and nations. But even though a Mastiff does everything that it can to help the child in carrying it by the diaphragm, there are matters of gravity to be reckoned with, which makes it impossible to carry the thing through without something being broken. If a dog could be trained to wrestle and throw the child immediately, a great deal of time could be saved. But as we have suggested, the ideal age for a boy to own a dog is between 45 and 50. By this time, the boy ought to have attained his full growth, and provided he's ever going to, ought to know more or less what he wants to make of himself. At this age, the dog will be more of a companion than a chattel. At this age, the dog will be more of a companion than a chattel, and if necessary, can be counted upon to carry the boy by the middle and drop him into bed in case sleep overcomes him at a dinner or camp meeting or anything of that sort. It can also be counted upon to tell him he has made a fool of himself and embarrassed all of his friends. A wife could do no more. The training of the dog is something which should be left to the boy, as this teaches him responsibility and accustoms him to the use of authority, probably the only time he will ever have a chance to use it. If, for example, the dog insists on following the boy when he is leaving the house, even after repeated commands of "go on back home," the boy must decide on one of two courses. He must either take the dog back to the house and lock it in the cellar, or, as an alternate course, he can give up on the idea of going out himself and stay with the dog. The latter is the better way, of course, especially if the dog is in good voice and given to screaming the house down. There's always been considerable difference of opinion as to whether or not a dog really thinks. I personally have no doubt that distinct mental processes do go on inside the dog's brain, although many times these processes are hardly worthy of the name. I have known dogs, especially puppies, who are almost as stupid as humans in their mental reactions. The only reason that puppies do not get into more trouble than they do, if there is any more trouble than that which puppies get into, well, it is that they are so small. A child, for instance, should not be expected to fall as heavily, eat as heartily of shoe leather, or throw up as casually as a puppy does, for there is more bulk to a child, and the results of these practices will be more serious in exact proportion to the size and capacity. Whereas, for example, a puppy might be able to eat only the toe of a slipper, a child might well succeed in eating the whole shoe, which, considering the nails and everything, would not be wise. One of the reasons why dogs are given credit for serious thinking is the formation of their eyebrows. A dog lying in front of a fire and looking up at its master may appear pathetic, disapproving, sage, or amused, according to the angle at which its eyebrows are set by nature. It is quite possible and even probable that nothing at all is going on behind the eyebrows. In fact, one dog who had a great reputation for sagacity, I am mispronouncing my words tonight, ladies and gentlemen. One dog who had a great reputation for sagacity once told me in confidence that most of the time when he was supposed to be regarding a human with an age-old philosophical rumination, he was really asleep behind those brows. You could have knocked me over with a feather, he said, when I found out that people were talking about my wisdom and suggesting running me for president. This, of course, offers a possibility for the future of the child itself. As soon as the boy makes up his mind just what type of man he wishes to be, he could buy some crepe hair and a bottle of spirit gum and make himself a pair of eyebrows to suit the role, converging toward the nose if he wants to be a judge or a savant, pointing upward from the edge of the eyes as if he wants to be a worried-looking man, like a broker, or elevated to his forehead if he plans on simulating surprise as a personal characteristic, and in red patches if he intends to be a stage Irishman. In this way, he may be able to get away with a great deal, as his little pal the dog does. At any rate, the important thing is to get the dog for the boy and see what each can teach the other. The way things are going now with our younger generation, the chances are that before long, the dog will be smoking, drinking gin, and wearing a soft hat pulled over one eye. That's the end of that one, ladies and gentlemen. That was very short. Let's have an extremely short one.
What?
Yeah.
Uncle.
Well, I'll just I'm not going to read that one because there's what looks like a racial stereotype at the end. These were written in 1930, after all, and Benchley is actually very politically progressive. But where's the one? Oh, I put them all away. Oh my goodness. Maybe we'll just.
Do you want me to bring something?
Chance it. Here we go.
You want me to bring
Good
something?
luck.
No.
And now they are trying to take away our superstitions from us. First, they tax us until it is cheaper not to earn any money at all. Then they force us to drink beer. And now they come along and tell us we must not believe that if your nose itches, you are going to have company. I am not a superstitious man myself, but no Columbia University professor is going to sit there and tell me that if an actor or anybody whistles in a dressing room, it does not mean bad luck for that person nearest the door. That is a scientific fact. Neither will I be told that I must throw out all the little odds and ends of clothing and currency that I have accumulated during the past quarter of a century, each one of which has been certified by the United States Bureau of Standards as a definite good luck piece. I've proved their worth time after time, chiefly by not having them with me when I had bad luck. I have an old green tie, which I have worn so much it now looks as if I were being led out to pasture by it. And has it ever failed me? Never. I may not always have had good luck with it on, but that was because I forgot to wrap the long end around twice while tying it, or because I did not have the ends even. The tie itself is sure-fire good luck, and I'll let no crack-brained theorist tell me different. Not being really superstitious, I can look at the thing calmly. When I was a boy, I used to have a silly idea that if I could run upstairs 2 at a time and reach the first landing before the outside door had shut behind me, that everything would be all right. I don't quite know what I meant by everything will be all right. But I guess that I meant really everything, which is certainly a wild-eyed demand to begin with. Now that I have reached an age where I am lucky if I barely get inside the outer door before it shuts on me, I see that my youthful idea was sheer superstition. I am under no illusion about superstition when it is superstition. But someday I'm going to put on all my good luck pieces of clothing and carry all my good luck coins and go right out and face the world. And if I don't get arrested, I bet I will have better luck than that Columbia professor with his textbook theories. So what I did there, ladies and gentlemen, was I just eliminated the one word that might have been problematic. I didn't even notice. Well, that does it for Benchley for tonight. Now, next week, I'll be taking Betty Sue to the train in Albany, New York. So what I'm going to try doing next week is pre-recording Benchley Night, because we've not done that, and StreamYard now seems to allow that. But before we go tonight, we have some people to thank. We have some people to thank, ladies and gentlemen, and you may well be amongst them. Are you ready? The unglet's ready. Carol Burning, Kate Fry, Rhea Bruns, Ann Cousins, Lizzie Grosso, Nancy Bass, Nancy Flanagan, Christina Stockman, Busy Graham, Catherine Fisher, Nanny Radzik, Deborah Lovett, Susan McNeil, Marlon Gibson, Terry Widener, MJ Brush, Jean Fry, Helen Sixek, Sonia Jackson, Martha Rowley, and yes, Martha, the delivery was received today. Thank you so much. James Galbraith down there in Plano, Texas. I think it's Plano, but down there in Texas. Mr. Jeb Hart, Cindy Baker, sorry about that. John Wilhelm, and out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the mighty Yonga-Haley meets the Sangiovese, and they form together the Ohio River. Out there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my very, 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 very tall cousin, Mr. Nat Hunter, his little dog, Ginger, and his wonderful wife, Elise. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week at this very time for another Benchley Night. Bye-bye, everybody. Take good care and happy Thanksgiving. Farewell.